biggest challenges that are coming out in the next year is GDPR and the regulations around that. Can you tell us what AnubisNetworks are doing to combat some of those issues?
The space where we operate, it plays a very important role, I would say, is, for example, trying to help companies understand their current exposure. That's something that it's now really critical for them because of data protection. And maybe before it wasn't such an issue or not such a big concern, but now it is. So one of the biggest problems is when you trying to strategize and you're trying to plan how to handle that, is first understand what is your current exposure. And in order to do that, what you need is figure out how are you seen from an external perspective and how others see your data. And the threat intel data is often very relevant for that aspect, because it can tell you, for example, your data is being exposed here or there. There's these credentials, this leaked information about your company, and this is an interesting first step to understand where you are, so that you can then start planning against that. And the other obviously is for reaction. Is if something happens, okay, you set up all your mechanisms, you have a plan, you have a strategy, but we all already know that eventually something is going to happen, and you also want to have these tools, these threat intelligence services that can help you identify when the problem happened, what happened, how can you deal with that situation. So that's one of the major roles that we play. The other, I think, also very much related to that area, and this goes a bit into our main products from the Bitside company, which is our parent company, has to do with how do you handle when this risk comes from your third parties and not from yourself. So situations where your company is going to depend on your partners, your vendors, your subsidiaries, your whatever. This whole ecosystem means that a breach that can occur that affects data is not going to impact just that company, but it's going to impact sometimes all the other companies that are part of this ecosystem. So if you're concerned about the protection of your data, you also want to be concerned about your whole ecosystem, which means that you want to monitor your vendors, your partners, the ones you operate with, so that you understand that if this partner had a breach, they had a system that was compromised, and how is this going to affect me, so that I can prevent or create mechanisms to mitigate that from becoming a problem. This is a good example was the recent WannaCry ransomware. Of course, it's not related necessarily with this data protection regulation, but it shows how it is a huge concern when something like this happens. Even if that doesn't affect you directly, it's going to affect your partners in a way, and that has an impact to your business. So the same problem applies to data protection as well. It's an interesting area to look at, and for us it's very exciting to be playing a role on that, because we are monitoring data. We help create the rating system precisely to enable companies to monitor their third-party risk.